Hey, it's Kirsten. Gosh, I haven't made a video in so long. Let me see if I even remember how. So, first of all, this image was sent in. I already tweaked it a little bit in ACR, but I'll tell you about that in a second. Okay, so first of all, let me get to where this image was shot, like this. Okay, so I don't want to lecture you about shooting in manual and understanding your camera's settings, but it looks like it was shot at with a 50 millimeter lens, which is awesome, at f1.8, which is a little risky but awesome. 1/200th of a second, maybe a little excessive seeing how dark this is. So I would either do one of two things. I don't know what camera you used, but I would have raised the ISO to at least like 800 or 1000, or lower the shutter speed to about 1/150th of a second or 1/100th of a second, which you can do with a 50 millimeter lens. Okay, so because this image was shot so underexposed, it's also out of focus, probably because you were at 1.8. I would probably do 2.2 or 2.8, just to be safe with moving children. Okay, so because we have to raise the ISO to make it exposed correctly, we're getting a lot of grain, which I already messed with. So let me show you. So you go to effects here. You can bring the grain down, and then also detail, I brought up the noise reduction. So that's where it was, and just kind of slowly bring it up until the little dots all over the picture go away. The noise is caused by shooting too dark and then raising the exposure. So that makes the noise. So we're going to go like that, and then we're going to go ahead and open it. Okay, that's the edit I was playing with. Okay, so the first problem area is this wig was a hot mess. Okay, so just really quick, I'm going to get some of the big strands. The outer strands are going to be easy, so I'll let you, kind of deal with that on your own. You can kind of just use the Band-Aid with the, looks like a suitcase with a handle. You can mess around with that and get the big strands that are in her face out. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to do Control J to make a duplicate layer. Click on your clone. I have it on lighten at 100%, which is fine. You can use the bracket key to adjust the size here. You want it like the size of a pencil eraser, maybe like that. And you're going to clone next to her hairline, just to give yourself a little working space here, just to make it a little easier for you. And you're going to keep sampling, brushing, sampling, brushing, so it looks as normal as possible. I'm going to lower the opacity here because I want a little bit of the contouring of her temple. There we go. All right, I'm going to leave it like that. So that's fine. For what we're going to do, that's fine. I might actually go over here a little bit and get up in there just a smidge. Okay, that's good enough. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and flatten this because I know what I've done. I commit to it. It's not that drastic yet. Then I'm going to get up here the quick selection tool and make sure it's on the plus. You can see the little plus sign. And I'm going to start selecting the wig. Okay, so this all looks good. I'm going to hold the Alt key down to make it negative, and I'm just going to see if I can get up a little bit here. Let me see. All right, that might be good. Okay, so inside of the marching ants, I'm going to right click and do layer via copy. So now her wig is on a separate layer. Now we're going to go edit, edit, transform, and warp. Okay, so we don't need to be too, meticulous or whatever, but you're going to mess just kind of moving the end points, moving it down a little smidge. Let's just kind of go like that. Move that in, move that out. Okay, this is going to be good. Click on the check mark. Then what I'm going to do, so you can see it, covers the hairline. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put a layer mask on it, which is the rectangle with a dot down here. A white layer mask is going to let you erase or opposite of erase. You're going to click on your brush tool. Now, if you have a white layer mask, you're going to want a black brush at 100%. Use the bracket key again to make it smaller. And we're going to brush what moved that we didn't want to move. We only want the hairline to move, so we want to smooth in the edges. There we go. The next thing we're going to want is to smooth this out a little bit. So I'm going to go down to like 50%. Don't try to make the numbers accurate. You'll waste hours of your time. Okay, and I'm just going to lightly kind of blend in what looks I might go up to like 70%. Just going to lightly soften the edges. And it's one of those things, because it was kind of a hot mess to begin with, I would give parents realistic expectations about, this is about as good as we're going to look. I'm going to click on the move tool and just see if I can move it down a little smidgy. There we go, like that. Okay, so I'm going to double click on the hand to get a full. All right, I mean, that covers some. That looks okay. So we're going to go ahead and flatten. Okay, so I have Bellevue Ave Winter Dreamland. And what I'm going to do is click on their actions. Okay, so it gives you a black layer mask, which means the action is hidden. So we're going to want a white brush to expose it. Put the opacity at 100. I'm going to lower the opacity to like 24 just to kind of make a dusting on the ground. I think it's a little much. So I'm going to just bring it down a little bit. I mean, it still looks awesome compared. Let's just go like that. I'm going to go ahead and flatten it. There's a bunch of different actions here. Brush on snow. Let's try that one. I have a different one that I like, but I'm going to just go ahead and just try this one for the fun of it. You know what? I know I'm not going to like it, so I'm going to just skip that. We're going to stay here. Okay, so there's a couple things I'm going to do next. I'm going to go File, Place Embedded, and then I'm going to go to where my overlays are. So I have everything, every overlay I ever have is in a folder right here. You can see my balloons, bokeh, all that crazy stuff. I have a folder called Holiday Magic that I use exclusively like on holiday stuff. So the first one I'm going to do is just this snow. So if you Google snow on a black background, you can find a million of these, and just anything with a black background is what you want. Now you're going to hold the Shift key so you can line it up with the original picture. If you want to make them a little bit more round, just go like that and double click. Then you're going to go and change the blend mode to screen. You can see the little snowflakes around here. Put a layer mask because we're going to want to erase. So the layer mask is white, so we're going to want a black brush. So hit X to get it to black. And then, whoops, put the opacity at 100. And then I'm going to paint it off of her arms, hands, and face. Like so. Then I have another whimsical one that I love. So I'm going to go place embedded. And I probably did like whimsical snow. I don't even know. Whatever I Googled, I'm not even sure. I'm going to put it like that. And I'm going to hit the, well, I probably won't hit the shift key and just make it a little bigger. Make it kind of exaggerated. Double click. I love these little whimsy snowflakes. I think it makes it super magical. Then I'm going to put a layer mask on that. Same thing. And just paint off where I want. And whoops, hang on a second. My hand slipped. Okay. That to me is adorable. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is you can Google any kind of like snow swirl or whatnot, but I'm going to go back to place embedded. I have these whimsy snowflakes that I love a lot. Now it's hard because they show up better on a darker background, but you know, it is what it is. To make this stand out more, you can always click on the layer and do duplicate and then don't move it and it'll just duplicate it, make it a little more, you know, pronounced because it's 2 layers. Okay, that looks really cute. You can also do another one right here. I might have a swirl, but I'm not 100% positive. I can't even see what this one is really, so I'm just going to go ahead and open it up and see what it is. Looks like a little snow swirl, so we'll go ahead and use that. And again, I'm going to duplicate the layer, I mean. If you had shot, like next time, if you shoot on a little bit of a darker background, everything will be more pronounced. Actually, that being said, what layer is it? Let's try to duplicate this layer just for the... then on the duplicate layer, you can lower the opacity a smidge just to make it a little less crazy. Okay, so that's pretty adorable, to be honest. It's really cute. I'm going to go ahead and flatten it. The only other thing I'm going to try is if I can find it at my fingertips, which maybe I can, maybe I can't. I made an action. You know what? I don't know if I can get my hands on it. For blue skin that I usually run. Because the skin, if you look at it, looks a little bit, oh, there it is, blue skin. Looks a little bit purple. Not crazy, but I'm just going to go ahead and run it. I think it's under my curves layer. So let's get a white brush because white paints it on. Let me look at before and after. Yeah, see how it just makes it a little bit more warm versus cool. Okay, so I'm going to turn that on because I think that looks adorable. And I'm going to flatten that. So let me see if there's anything else I would do. I think that's probably it. I think it's really cute. You know, it looks like she's looking at the snowflake, which I love. Next time, just take a deep breath and get your camera settings right. I tell people all the time, there's really no excuse because you can look at the back of your camera and see that it's, you know, too dark or whatnot. Because you want to avoid the grain and everything else. I might go in and lighten the eyes just a little bit, but be careful not to make it look like too unrealistic. But I think this is totally fine. And if I wasn't talking, I could have done this edit in about like 5 minutes probably. But anyway, I hope that helps and let me know.